Hi there, I am Adam Kivas, and this is our third, third episode about my work as an author. I've listened to the past two episodes, and I know that there are some issues with the voice. I notice I'm stuttering, and of course there are some annoying things. I try to improve this. I will speak slower. I will try to speak more understandingly. I will try to be easier for people to follow. Of course, this is all not easy, and not because English is not my mother tongue, but as well as that I am struggling with a little bit of of uh, the language as well. Nevertheless, I have watched some breathing exercises on YouTube, and as well as I will try to fix that. However, in this episode, I want to talk about my first novel. After a while, I wrote in 2018. It is the Harbor Chronicles. This is I wanna this novel I started writing in Germany, in Hamburg, and this novel plays in Hamburg. It is this is in 2008. I left Austria finally because somehow I had enough. I had enough from the politics. I mean, maybe some people outside of Austria they may not know this, but in Austria there are some issues for sure with the political system. Some may have followed the news, or not much gets out of Austria, and of course, and what I'm saying here is very subjective. Of course, everyone has something to complain about. Everyone has uh, thinks that he could do better, this and that. How I know that, but there are some incidents, not only a few, but really some significant incidents which happened in Austria. This had to do partially with the president, but as well as with other actors. So it is not only the Austrian president who and his party who was responsible for this, but to cut to the chase, the issue is in Austria that the checks and balances which you would expect in a modern Western country, that these checks and balances have somehow ceased to work in Austria. We are talking about checks and balances. What people might assume or know of America. In America we have a functioning legal system. Of course, it is not perfect, but nothing is. As well as a very thriving civil society, and as well as I think this is somehow unique American, that people feel some sort of responsibility for their country, and of course want to bring forward the country. This is something which would in Europe people would decry this as nationalism, as 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 wrong understood ideology. But nevertheless, the perception of Americans is way more positive, or how they perceive their state. And in Austria, this was somehow missing. The legal system in Austria, it is rather depends on political partisanship. It is rather on a whim, and as well as the political system. It is not only the left, uh, as well as the right. There are some really concerning issues in Austria. This was in the past, and it is somehow, one might assume that Austria is or has become a failed state. Yet the future will show how this will develop. I mean, but truth be told, despite the fact that Austria is my country, my home uh, soil. I mean, it is. I was born in Austria. I grew up in Austria. Nevertheless, I always wanted to get out of Austria. Austria, a bit out of the reason because, and to this very day, I think that in Austria, I will never be able to develop as properly, or not properly, but in general, I will not be able to develop as an author, as a philosopher, or even as a human being, because think there are some indeed concerning issues, and if and, and in Austria, this is some sort, this has the inclination that you become some sort part of this this vile system. So this system is like a tornado. You can assume this is some sort of a tornado, and it drags everything inside it. So there's nothing and nobody is really left unscathed. This is and and however to and I wanted to left. I mean, I went to Germany. I lived in a country with the overall with the where the majority are Catholics, and I never lived before in a country where where the majority are Protestants. But this was not really it played some part of it. But I always wanted to live in Germany. I always wanted to make a living in Germany, and I decided for Hamburg because I googled Hamburg. This was not because I knew anyone in Hamburg. Well, I don't know anyone in Hamburg. I don't have any relatives in Hamburg, and Hamburg was not suggested by anyone, so it was neither a political decision or whatever. I did not seek anything uh, other than work and of course a future. Um, um, and I googled Hamburg, and Hamburg, I was told, had a very good job records. Or Germany in general is doing well within the European Union. So it makes sense to go to Germany. And when I left for Germany, Hamburg, I bought myself a bicycle. I think this is very good. I mean, it was really uh, it was actually very interesting to get to know the city via bicycle, and I can only recommend it to anyone. I mean, Hamburg is of course not the hub like Berlin. I mean, those people who have been in Berlin or Munich, they know this is Hamburg is not really this cosmopolitan city. Nevertheless, I fell in love with it. So I loved the harbor. It was especially in summer. I arrived there in winter. It was actually March. It was actually pretty much beautiful in summer. The harbor, the water, the climate. I mean, it is a bit different, of course. I mean, this is the north where people think a little bit different. Nevertheless, but I fell in love with it, and 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 I really wanted to get to know the city, and I got a job at McDonald's. I mean, this is McDonald's has some sort of became for me the only working place. I don't like working for McDonald's. Truth be told, it is really not well paid. It is you work with certain kinds of people. I mean, at least I made experiences, not very good experiences. So, but however, it pays the bills. And then and Hamburg, when I drove with my bicycle through the harbor, and then I had an idea for this book, the Harbor Chronicle. And what the Harbor Chronicle is actually all about is there's in Hamburg at the harbor there's an incident. One day in the morning, the citizens of Hamburg wake up and the water in the harbor is red. This is some sort of a social incident. What happens and what strikes people as odd. I mean, hopefully it strikes everyone at hope, and then all these conspiracy theories start unraveling, as well as scapegoats are being sought. Someone needs to be blamed. This is always an issue. And what was interesting, or what I which my focus was to see that because normally everyone would assume there is a reddish hue in the water. Yeah, there must be something from a factory or something which was poured down in the water. But what I wanted to show is, and I do have experiences in political science. I studied it. That people actually rather seek scapegoats in the social area. So specifically, certain minority groups, certain people, and it somehow depicts a form of the society. This is more understandable when we talk about being a foreigner in German society, as well as in Austria, because Austria and Germany, they are two different countries. This is true, but the culture, as well as the cultural consistency of the population is or the demographic data of the society is pretty much the same. Germany has 10% of foreigners, migrants, 10%, as well as Austria. Germany has 80 million inhabitants. Austria has 8 or 9 if you count everyone to it. And one important term I wanted to talk about is, as well as Inländer and Ausländer. Inländer means someone who is a native, like one would say Native American, but not. Okay, this was not a good example, but someone who is a native Austrian, native German, as well as an Ausländer. And Ausländer is rather mean foreigner. It is someone who comes from abroad. I mean, I wrote about this in my blog at WordPress. Those people who want to read it, but I don't want to reiterate what's in the blog already. I think within the blog I try to depiction one issue, and of course there are overlappings. Nevertheless, I don't want to talk about the same thing over and over again. This is the reason why I do not reiterate one by one what's in the blog. But there are of course some important issues, and this is of course being a foreigner, and it is, I think, in Austria, being a foreigner is as well as in Germany, there are two kinds of foreigners. I mean, these are desirable foreigners. Desirable foreigners. These are people, for example, Italian, and in the novel I write about them. I mean, I don't have anything against Italian, but not at all. But it's the way how they are perceived, Italians or French or Dutch. These are being considered as desirable foreigners because of their cultural contribution. This is not what is for fact, but people perceive that however, Italians and French